I love humans. All the same patterns and things that are out there.
Hey everybody, this is episode 5 of Casually Obsessed, and hey, do I have a smile on my face? I do now, but I didn't leading up to the episode. I don't think a lot of us took this episode seriously when it was first announced, and between that and the sudden fad of emojis in the last year or so, and the fact that it was written by the same guy who did In the Forest of the Night, it wasn't really doing itself any favors since its announcement. And then it aired, and surprise, surprise, it was actually a really good episode. Since recording this audio, The Empress of Mars has just aired, which I haven't seen yet, and just from what I have seen so far, I think Smile is one of the best episodes of Series 10 so far. I know, crazy, right? I don't have that many complaints about the episode, so I might as well just get them out of the way. As far as the Vardis go, they're a really cool idea for a villain, but throughout the episode I just don't feel like they did enough. I mean, we did see them turn some poor helpless fucks in the beginning into skeletons, and we see more skeletons in the greenhouse, but they don't really do anything more until the very end, where they do skeletize some other poor fucks, but then the reset button happens and then it's just over. And speaking of reset buttons, I think this episode starts an annoying trend in Series 10 where the villains seem to be defeated just very easily. From Lord Sutcliffe basically jumping to his own death, to the monks just piecing out like a bunch of pussies once they know that the going is about to get tough. Thinking about it, in comparison, the emoji bots are more of a threat than the actual Vardis. My last criticism of the episode is a small one, just a little pet peeve coming from my anti-SJW stance. I didn't really like Bill accusing the Doctor of food sexism in a Lokutopia, as she calls it. But, I mean, after all, Bill is in college, and colleges these days generally suck. But they did a good job passing it off like it was nothing, which is why it doesn't bother me too much, so I can just let this one slide. Alrighty, ranting over, let's get to the actual good stuff because there's a lot of it. I guess the reason I like this episode so much that it really shows the development of the Doctor and Bill's relationship. He takes her out to her first real adventure on an alien planet, and she is just mesmerized by everything. It's always the new companion's job to help make everything feel new and fresh again, but god damn it, even in the first 20 minutes, Belle sells that role better than any other companion from New Who. Yeah, better than Rose and Donna. Just her wonder and amazement of this new alien planet, her thanking the Doctor for taking her on this trip and calling him an awesome tutor, are all beautiful moments in an aesthetically pleasing episode. And speaking of aesthetics, the episode itself has a very New Earth vibe to it. It's all white and clean and sparkling and beautiful, and it reminds me of a lot of the sets from the classic era of Doctor Who too. Back in the day, a lot of the futurized sets had a lot of white walls and shit, so this environment fits like a glove amongst many other Doctor Who settings. And it's even more incredible to know that this city is an actual real place in the world. Let's rewind a bit too. I enjoyed the pre-title sequence with the Doctor and Bill in the TARDIS. I particularly like the line where the Doctor stole the TARDIS because he felt like it. The scene with Nardole was pretty good too because it places further emphasis on the big mystery box in their basement, and likewise could be said when Bill was trying to pry some info out of the Doctor. And of course the Doctor being the Doctor dodges the important info by calling it all things. So let's get on to the emoji bots. They say that they're interfaces, but they look too much like robots for me to call them just interfaces. Maybe they call them that because they have interfaces. Ha ha ha! I'm the funniest guy on the internet. It cracks me up when I see the Doctor's look of sheer disappointment when he realizes of all things in the human language to survive over thousands of years, it's emojis. I'd imagine he'd have the same reaction to Egyptian hieroglyphs. The badges are pretty neat too, how you can only see the blank sides, and how they just slide across your body to your back was pretty amusing, especially when the Doctor suggests maintaining eye contact with somebody you fancy. I know I already talked about the Bloke Utopia bit, but I did love the part where the Doctor starts drifting off into La La Land, as he recalls the Algae Emperor who fancied him. It also makes a ton of sense why the Doctor doesn't like to eat fish. For the amount of aliens he runs into on a nearly daily basis, it would complicate things a bit whenever he runs into a fish alien of some kind. It reminds me of when Merry and Pippin were discussing whether or not they should share their Shire pot with Treebeard, before realizing it could be a distant relative. It will always be amusing to me how much of an adrenaline-rushed thrill seeker the 12th Doctor is. It's easy to forget that underneath his apparent aging exterior, he's still a shit disturber with the mind of a younger man. So when he says he has a childish impulse to blow up the city after figuring out the danger of the emoji bots and the Vardes, it leaves a smile on my face because this is the side of the Doctor that I missed in Series 9. This scene also makes a very good point about the series as a whole, and the overall character of the Doctor when Bill notices the sign on the TARDIS. Advice and assistance obtainable immediately. Respond to all calls. If that doesn't sum up the Doctor, I don't know what does. The engine room was pretty neat, and maybe it's also because of my love of Star Wars, but love a catwalk over a big ass pit. And maybe this is just me coming from a bass player background, but the machine in the middle reminds me of an SVT stack. Another one of my favorite moments in the episode is when an emoji bot is coming after the Doctor. The Doctor sees its reflection, and without any hesitation, the Doctor thwacks the robot into the pit. There's a very interesting scene during this sequence where Bill finds a futuristic book full of human history. Bill wanted to see if the future was happy. Boy, was she sadly mistaken. This could also be the part of me who theorizes about everything, but I don't think they would have put this part into the episode if it didn't have a connection to future events. With that and Stephen Moffat saying that the finale is going to be a bloodbath, I can't help but think that this is connected in some way. And there's a lot in the book we haven't seen, just from camera perspective. So what are the chances that Bill pulls a Martha, and maybe sees John Sims' master in the book, and when he does appear, she could say, "Hold on, I've seen you before." Just, shit to think about, could be wrong. But the big thing about this whole sequence I like very much is how the Doctor almost got it wrong. He could have made a very disastrous mistake that could have cost the lives of thousands of people. It's nice seeing the Doctor as a fallible character instead of a perfect space Jesus. As far as the ending goes, it did seem like to be a bit of a cop-out, but I don't think I need to repeat myself again. The supporting cast, I kinda wish they had more to do in this episode. Their actions towards the robots were pretty typical and predictable, and honestly, they don't really do much for me as characters. Then there's the final scene where we see an elephant on the ice. Some people wondered, can an elephant actually walk on the ice without breaking? Well, as a Canadian, I can say yes it can. Back in 2009, I was on a school trip to Ottawa in the winter, when the Rideau Canal did its annual freeze-over, and there were thousands of people on the ice. Alrighty, so, score time. From 1 being low and 10 being high, I give Smile a 9 out of 10. This episode does a brilliant job developing the Doctor and Bill's relationship. The setting was aesthetically pleasing, and it was an overall pleasant surprise when we thought it was going to be another dud. So kudos for Frank Cottrell Boyce for writing a better episode than his last one. This has been episode 5 of Casually Obsessed, and I hope you have a good day.